Is a Taliban takeover inevitable? And what would Afghanistan look like if that happens? America's longest war is about to end, but as US troops prepare to leave, has the enemy it's been fighting for 2 decades grown stronger and more legitimate?
The Afghan military forces buckling under an overwhelming Taliban offensive. Local militias have taken up arms against the extremists in 10 provinces across the country, furthering the prospect of an all-out civil war.
The Afghan foreign minister warned the US withdrawal would lead to not only civil war, but a spillover conflict in the region. Terrorist groups and criminal gangs would also operate freely. US President Joe Biden has pledged continued support for the Afghan government, claiming it will not fall and that hard-won rights and freedoms will continue.
U.S. support for the people of Afghanistan will endure. We will continue to provide civilian and humanitarian assistance, including speaking out for the rights of women and girls.
But as NATO troops prepare to leave the country, the Taliban has been quick to fill the power vacuum. The group says it controls more than 85% of the country, including border crossings with Iran, Turkmenistan, and more recently, Pakistan. At this pace, according to a US intelligence report, the Afghan government could fall in 6 months once the US and other international troops leave. Despite the ongoing violence, the Taliban seems to be enjoying some form of international legitimacy. The peace deal brokered by the Trump administration also helped change the Taliban's image of a terrorist group that couldn't be negotiated with. And aside from the Doha peace talks, Taliban negotiators have visited Russia, Iran, and Pakistan. In a bid to soften their militant image, the Taliban pledged to protect foreign diplomats and allow NGOs to operate in the country. The heavily Pashtun-dominated group also said it would protect the rights of minorities.
We are not up to taking power. We want all Afghans to play their roles in the government with us according to their abilities and knowledge.
But many observers are warning about this softened new Taliban. They argue that the group is on a charm offensive where one side acts diplomatic and good for the cameras versus the rural Taliban who believe in the same draconian, regressive forms of governance they did in the 90s. Many of the Taliban's battle-hardened fighters still carry a very militaristic mindset, and observers fear that this more militant faction is what Afghanistan will get if it takes power. This has left many women in the country worried for the rights they gained under previous Afghan governments.
The detrimental impact, unfortunately, I want to say again, is very disproportionate on women and very negatively affect their freedom and their access to their basic human rights across Afghanistan.
For now, what's clear is that the Taliban is advancing rapidly. While most of the country's urban centers remain under the control of Afghan security forces, that could change soon. And what will happen when the Taliban reaches those cities? The US has pledged that it will continue to support the Afghan government, but its track record proves otherwise. And the Taliban is making all sorts of promises, but its history shows the opposite. All sides seem to be guilty of one thing: not having their words match their actions.